In the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move.
I'm Steve Benson. That's Paul Schultz. This is the Don't Panic Radio Show. And sit back, relax, and ignore the news because nothing you're about to hear is true. I read this NPR article that said, stop looking at the polls every day. It's like, first of all, people that do polls and study polls know what they are and how to interpret them. And people who don't, right? It's not like a horse race, like where you're watching and you can tell who's winning every second of the way. The data really is meant to give an idea, especially to the people within the campaigns, like where should I be focusing my resources and effort, right? It's not meant for you and me to sit there, which is how I was using them. I knew this. I didn't need the article to tell me this, but it helped to reinforce. Like every day I'd open up the dang polls. Okay, so here's how I got sucked into it. When Biden failed at the debate, right? When he just totally turned in the first 3 minutes, he lost it, right?
Yeah.
And then all the talk, I wanted to see how the polls reacted to that. And then I wanted to see when Harris came in after Biden dropped out, I wanted to see how the polls changed after that. Yeah. That's a completely valid use of looking at the polls, right? You want to see kind of how these things impact each other. When Trump got shot, you kind of wanted to see that, right? But opening it up every day and looking at it is useless. It's less than useless for somebody like me. It's only going to serve to make me anxious. Like, oh no, Harris went down 2 points. Oh no, Trump went up a point. You know, it's like, nah, sort of. These things all have margins of error, right? Of like 3 or 4%. So it could go up or down, right? And I'd say, who are these people? Like, okay. Yeah. So let's say, when Harris comes in, she gets this boost, and then the Democratic National Convention happens, right? She gets a boost. Maybe there are people who are on the sidelines like, yeah, I don't really like Trump, but do I like Harris enough to vote for Harris? And then you see the Democratic National Convention, you're like, yeah, okay, all right. I like her. I like Tim Walz. Okay, I'll vote for that side. Or no, I don't really like her. I think I'm gonna vote for Trump or whatever, right? And I'm like, when I see the polls go up and after that, like a couple of weeks goes by, nothing's happening. There's ads and there's nothing. Like there's just nothing happening, right? What causes the poll to go up or down? Like who is sitting there like, yeah, I decided after the DNC to go ahead and vote for Walz, but you know what? I changed my mind back to Trump now. But I might change back to Harris in a few weeks. Who are these people?
Yeah. You know whoever those people are, they don't deserve to vote. That's right. If you're that wishy-washy about it. Yeah.
If it was like Romney versus Harris or John McCain versus Obama, even, I'll give you that. Right? It's like, okay, I get it. Even so, I was, when it was Bush v. Gore, right up to the last minute, I was kind of like going back and forth. I was one of those people. Now, people who were really paying attention probably were like, how could they couldn't have been more different. And I'm like, from where I was sitting, they didn't seem that much different. Right?
Yeah.
But now, like, I refuse to believe, and I know somebody would try to convince me like, well, now you're just one of those people that pays super close attention. You don't have to pay very close attention to know what Trump is, right?
No, we've known since 2015 what he is.
yeah. We suspected. We had a strong suspicion in 2015, right? And then you had this sort of, okay, maybe he'll grow into the job. Maybe, maybe these are just like isolated things, but then, from 2016 to 2020, we saw what kind of person he was. And then 2021, for sure, we saw. And now, like, there's nothing refuting what we suspected. Yeah. You don't have to be a political junkie to know what you're getting with him, right? So okay, I get that there are a certain number of people who are like, yeah, I know what I'm getting and I like it. Right? I want that. Right? And then there are people who are hardcore like us, like there's no way I'd vote for a piece of gum on the bottom of my shoe before I'd vote for that guy, right?
Yep.
But who are these people in the middle who are kind of like, yeah, I know exactly who he is, but unless Harris tells me exactly how she's going to prevent price gouging at grocery stores, or what the details of her tax plan are, unless she tells me that stuff, I'm still like, I might still vote for Trump.
Yeah, although I don't know how, because the man has never been able to get nailed down for any specific answer for anything ever. But yeah, I gotta make sure. I gotta make so maybe they're waiting for a wishy-washy, avoiding answer to make up their mind from her.
That just adds to the perplexion, right? That adds to my confusion. Like, if your problem with Harris is not enough details on her policies, I get that, but that would lead you toward I guess I'm just going to sit out because I can't get details from either side on what their policies are going to be. Okay, I can respect that. I don't get it, but I can respect it. But when you say, so therefore I'm going to vote for Trump, that implies you know the details of his policies, which you kind of do. They're written out in 900 pages, in something called Project 2025. That's the details of his policies. So what you're telling me is that you're better off with that than you are with, what Harris has to offer.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Like let's pretend they read, and let's pretend they've read all 900 pages. If they're waiting for her 900 pages, and like her 900 pages comes out, and it's really just all work and no play, makes Jack a dull boy, something just completely random, and you're still looking at Project 2025 going, I don't know. No.
Yeah.
So no, you're not waiting. You're not waiting for her to do anything. You're just saying that at this point.
So my suggestion to everybody is there's that you can, if you're on social media and you're like, yeah, but I want to engage, I want to have a conversation, that's like, social media is not the place to do that. No. My suggestion is you snooze people that are on the extreme disagreement side of things. And anytime anybody says, I just want to have a civil conversation, they never do. I've tried that a couple times. Yeah. It turns into an ad hominem attack, like, within the first few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I have noticed that every time you and I sit down when we quote unquote don't really have something to talk about, it's usually like your last social media post, because they're usually pretty thought out. And I read that one. I think it was yesterday. I'm thinking, I think I know where this is going.
Was it the one about your unhinged relatives?
Yeah, you're putting people on snooze and
snooze them for 30 days. When it pops back up in 30 days, toward the beginning of October, you're probably going to want to snooze them again because it's not going to get better until about April.
Yeah, but yeah.
April's when. Why would I pick April? I think that's about the date of the first State of the Union address. Those usually come up in February or March. So by April, everything will have settled down. Even the leftists will stop screaming and yelling. We won't hear from them again until the Democrats pick a nominee for 2028. And then they'll jump in again, talking about how you can't vote for that person. It's like, where have you been for 4 years? Who were you working on bringing up?
Yeah.
Most of the leftists that are like that, they don't believe in electoral politics at all. In other words, the way our elections work, there's absolutely no way of picking a good leader. So I've yet to see their counter proposal. But
right. Well, the thing about that is I call that performative leftism, and chances are those people that are screaming that wouldn't be too affected if everything went to shit. They're comfortable. Nothing's going to happen to them. They're mostly white men, so nothing's going to happen to them. So it's like I've kind of distanced myself from the idea of calling myself a leftist, but I'm not. So I had to put a label on them to make myself feel better about myself. So
I will, I heard somebody say follow black leaders.
Mhm.
If anything, if you're going to try to, and it's not just black people, but any oppressed, minority or whatever.
Mhm.
Because if you're a white dude telling me don't go vote, it's like, well, what should I be doing? The revolution. We should be having a revolution. It's like, all right, I will listen to oppressed people who are like, if a revolution, like if your life is so bad that revolution sounds like a good idea, then okay.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
get it. If you're fully if you're fully read in on exactly what a revolution might look like, then I'll be
Yeah.
like, well, I'll work on supporting you, but not this comfortable white dude over here who lives in a suburb somewhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Has a nice house.
What a top.
I like your shirt. I have my Pink Floyd lounge pants on. So
nice. I know, kids these days like Pink Floyd. In fact, my kids bought me this shirt.
That's awesome. One of my favorite TikTok trends from a little while ago was like Gen Z, and it's usually a Gen Z kid. Gen Z, listens to Pink Floyd for the first time. Well, what's this? This is my dad's music. And then it's usually like the song Time, and they're just like they're just devastated by the these are the most deepest lyrics they've ever heard in their lives.
Yeah. We listened to classic rock, or I did when I was a teenager, coming of age, which was, popular music in our parents' generation, or
Yeah.
some, those with I don't know. My parents listened to country. My
Yeah, that's
mom
where we
listened to
were.
Elvis.
Yeah.
So I never got any sort of congratulations or respect for, oh, you're listening to, um, what's a band I would have listened to other than ZZ Top? I guess that was about it.
You're welcome.
I never cared for Bachman Turner Overdrive. I was going to mention them. That was the one that I thought of. But Zeppelin, like take Zeppelin as an example. No boomer ever came up to me and was like, "Oh, Led Zeppelin, great shirt, man. I saw them live," or just whatever. Never happened. But now, if you are a 20-something between the ages of 19 and 26, and you're wearing, say, a Grateful Dead shirt or a Neil Young shirt, you can fix that in post.
Yeah.
or a Bob Dylan shirt. Bob Dylan shirt. We were on vacation, and one of the kids with us was wearing a 19-year-old kid was wearing a Bob Dylan shirt, right? And some dude it's like, "Hey, great shirt." And it had the album on it. And he's like, "I was at one of the concerts during that particular tour." And so the guy I was with was like telling him about, he had seen him with his dad, had seen Dylan. It's like he was like in his mid 80s. Like he's not the Bob Dylan of yesteryear, but there was a great conversation, right? Oh, just love it. Like I get the impression that our generation loves the fact that the kids are listening to music that we kind of grew up with, like a Pink Floyd shirt or something like that. But when we were kids, we never got that sort of recognition, right?
No. And in fact, we got, if we did get any kind of recognition, it was negative.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times. It's so funny. My little brother and I joke about this all the time. Like the music that we listen to, like say, you're ZZ Top. I'm gonna throw in like Johnny Winters and stuff like that. Some BB King, not BB King, some Albert King or Muddy Waters, anybody like that.
Yeah.
Or even more recently, kind of the Black Keys, but or Taj Mahal was another one. And like we would get my dad would just be like, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? And then like now, like you go over to his house, right? And he's got his big computer desk with his gigantic computer and his enormous monitor. And like he'd be like, have you ever heard this before? And he'll put on like some Taj Mahal or some old ZZ Top. And I'll just look at my mom and be like, where was this man's head 40 years ago? And she'll just laugh. It's like, yes, I've heard of this. I introduced you to this.
Yeah.
So we never really got we never got encouraged, or that's pretty cool. We got where the hell where they're gonna be in 40 years?
Yeah.
You know? No,
Here we are
and
40 years later.
Right, here we are 4 years later. I'm the opposite, because like with my kids, I'll like you know, two of my kids are heavy into music. The other one, not so much. He likes soundtrack music, which is fine, you know, because as do I. But I'll listen to anything my kids throw at me, and I mean, it's why I low key like Imagine Dragons, Pierce the Veil, all those kind of cool. I like those kind of bands, you know. And it's like I can't imagine my dad, you know, jamming out to, you know, Pierce the Veil.
Yeah.
Or even
Fire.
the Arctic Monkeys or something like that.
I was going to say Arcade Monkeys. I think it's Arctic Fire.
Arctic Fire, yeah, Arcade Fire and Optic Monkeys, Arcade. Now you got me doing it.
Arcane Monkeys. Right. I early on, from the models that I had grown up with and seen, I thought I was supposed to make fun of what my kids enjoyed, right?
Yeah, that's what that was the script.
Like the dad joke, sort of whatever, right? But it only took me seeing their reaction to that a few times to go, I don't want that. That's not how I want a relationship to be. That's not how I want to engage with my kids. That's not, I don't want to see them have that kind of react, because they don't get the joke, right? Or as my son once said, I get the joke. It's just not funny.
It's just not funny, Dad. It's like music, especially with music. Music is so personal.
Yeah.
It's so part of who we are that when your parent makes fun of like the band that you like, how are you going to get any kind of honest conversation at all out of them on anything else, when that is such a personal thing to do? And it's such a personal attack, you know?
Right. Yeah. So we adjusted pretty quickly on that one. So yeah. this is Better Off Dad. I just think whether it's generational or a parent-child relationship, whatever it happens to be, to your point, if somebody likes something, they like it. Let them. Don't steal their joy. Don't let somebody else steal your joy. If you like something, like it with your whole chest.
Like my youngest, he'll put on his Nirvana t-shirt and his flannel, and as he's getting ready for school in the morning, and I'll be like, all right, three songs. Come on, give me 3 songs. You know, because it's Nirvana's always that. You always get the gatekeeper wanting 3. So he'll pull out like In the Pines, and I'm like, all right, see, you're already well above the bubble. So they're gonna like, what's that? You know, because they only know, you know, the Nevermind album.
The cover of the David Bowie classic, Man Who Stole the World. What?
Yeah.
Who's David Bowie? Yeah, the gatekeepers are funny, because sometimes they are gatekeepers and sometimes they just want to strike up a conversation, which I've seen happen before, not to me, but like I've observed it before, where somebody will go, "What's your favorite?" Like my son was wearing a Motorhead t-shirt, and they asked him what his favorite song was, and he just sat there and he's like, "Oh man, why would you do that to me?" And then And then there was a whole conversation later, like, do you think the guy was actually doing that, or do you think he was trying to strike up a conversation? It's like, I don't know. It's hard to tell.
That's when you got to pull out like you got to pull out the ones like, Sacrifice or Lost Johnny or, actually I prefer Lemmy when he was in Hawkwind, for 5 minutes.
You know what I do?
Pull out the obscure ones.
What I do is I say the only one that I can remember, which is Ace of Spades, even though it's not my favorite.
The one you need to know. When Arlo was little and we would play Go Fish, she would, do you got any of this? You got any of that? And then when it came time for like aces, she'd go like, do you have any of the only cards you need? She'd be holding a couple of aces and know I had the Ace of Spades in my hand. Yeah.
I figure, hey, if I like the shirt and I can only ever remember one song and they're not the first band, I'll just say for Motorhead, it's not the first band I think of to put on when I'm like, time for some music. But I like it's maybe they would say, well, you're just a poser. And I'm like, well, whatever, dude. I know me.
Bro,
I don't need your approval.
Don't call me a poser. I was there when that word was invented. Don't call me a poser.
It's pronounced poseur. Okay.
That's right. It's pronounced poseur.
Yeah, I discovered that the band that I was telling you about earlier, the Freestyle Fellowship, because somebody was trying to refer to the fast rapping, and he said, like, they were the original fast rappers, like Bone Thugs and Harmony you might think of, but he's like, even before them, and it was like the early 90s. And so if you listen to that song I sent you, Inner City Boundaries, not only do they pull out the fast rapping, but it's got a saxophone in it, and the just like when I think of rap music and its development, well, okay, we'll put it this way. A lot of people think of rap music who aren't like into rap music, which I'm not going to say I'm into hip hop. I like a lot of hip hop, but I'm not like into hip hop, right? Folks who are even less into it than me, who like don't even listen to it, all they can think of is vulgar, and it just degrades women and all this stuff. And while it has its misogyny problems, its roots are in protest, and that's what I was getting out of this song is like, oh, it definitely has the protest roots in it. They're rapping about what they know and what they see and the system and everything, and I'm like, I really like this.
I like the one video I saw where this is like, mom and daughter talking, and the mom's like, you guys' rap music, you guys don't talk about anything. Back in the day we talked about real life, and then it was like the music back in the day, and it's like, I went in the kitchen and I made myself a sandwich, and my buddy came over and we played some Nintendo. It's like, that's real life.
Yeah, that's funny. And it's like, well, rappers now are probably talking about real life. It's just a different life than you had. And before, like, now I hear it like the dog whistle of white people who will say, well, rap music's not even music, it's just a bunch of grunting, and it's not even considered music. It's like, that's dog whistle racism right there.
Yep.
So
yep, because then you gotta turn around, musical taste is subjective. I get it, and so you like what you like, man, and don't be a dick.
7 Sound.
All right. For Freestyle Fellowship, for Neil Young, for Paul Schultz, I'm Steve Vinson. This has been the Don't Panic Radio Show, and nothing you just heard was true. had to be about the worst I've done that in a long time.
Do it over. I was talking over you at the beginning, so I'm gonna stop talking. Just do it over.
I can't now. It's like when you're at a party and somebody says, "Hey, Paul, draw something." Like,
yeah.
what?
Oh, I can do that.
Oh, you can do
what
that.
What I can't do is have somebody go, "Hey, P." No.
You sound like you have experience with that.